Welcome to the Accounting Technology Lab, sponsored by CPA Practice Advisor, with your hosts, Randy Johnston and Brian Tankersley.
Welcome to the Accounting Technology Lab. I'm Randy Johnston with my co-presenter, Brian Tankersley. Now, Brian and I have been around tax research a long time, and this will affect many of your practices because you use Checkpoint Edge. But we want to talk about the Checkpoint Edge with CoCounsel, which was released on April 24th of 2024. Now, CoCounsel is a generative AI assistant for tax research. Our theory, and it's getting proven more and more by various vendors, is that AI will be built into the tools that you use every day, and it won't be your AI leverage won't all come from generic tools like Copilot 365 or ChatGPT. You will actually benefit from the work that the vendors do inside their platforms. Now, this Gen AI tool was built on Amazon Web Services, and that does give Thomson the advantage around the world. We know this evolved up through the legal market in their particular instance, but we were waiting for the accounting version to be released. Probably should have covered it with you in a technology lab sooner, but we wanted it to settle down and figure out how the training would work with your firms and other pieces. So, Brian, what would you like our listeners to know about Checkpoint Edge with CoCounsel?
Well, I think, again, I think anytime you're working with generative AI, you should know enough about the topic you're researching to kind of fact check it and for it to have it make sense. But it does an exceptional job of summarizing information for people. Again, if you think about the guidance that Checkpoint provides, as CCH does through their tax research network, it's a there is some level of summarization in here. Now, what's different about this is that we're not in a space where we can tolerate hallucinations. And so I would expect that the folks at Thomson Reuters have actually tuned these AI models on here to not just make things up. We've all heard about generative AI making things up that just don't exist. And again, there have been some attorneys that have faced sanctions from courts for turning in briefs they wrote with ChatGPT, where it literally made up not only the brief but made up cases, fictitious cases, because of this hallucination feature. So I think it's very important that we acknowledge that this hallucination is a real thing, and it is something that can be catastrophic if you're not looking at the information. And so these tuned models from folks like TR and from folks like Wolters Kluwer, I think are going to be inherently more trustable for use than what you would get if you just use ChatGPT or just use the Microsoft models. Because again, I think they're going to be tuned to take that hallucination out.
Yeah, so it turns out that Thomson Reuters on their website calls CoCounsel a professional grade generative AI assistant. And that is true. And it does give you the ability to have simple or complex tax questions answered faster than poring over multiple references or looking through additional resources. You know, so much of the time when Brian and I are out consulting, we listen to firms doing Google search and so forth. But the Gen AI assistant also uses some natural language capabilities behind the scenes. And it also does source validation. So the idea of not hallucinating is a big deal because the citations and links to Checkpoint editorial content is inside the searches. And you also have the ability to perhaps let junior staff find trusted answers this way. So all of those things, I think, contribute to these research tools. Now, this is in addition to the traditional Checkpoint Edge, you know, advantages, where they've got comprehensive and authoritative content, and they have trusted public sites like irs.gov that they might use in addition to their daily news and expert insights. So the whole idea of this is to get some time savings out of this. Now, they also have planning and advisory tools that you can look at, including advisory maps. So, Brian, in this particular case, the advisory maps, what might you comment on those?
Well, effectively, these look like they're basically cookbook for how to advise people and how to figure out different options for maximizing tax benefits and for taking advantage of deductions. And it's actually cookbook. I mean, if you're, I've got this in the video version of our podcast. I've actually got the screen showing that actually will show one of these maps. But what it really does is it really kind of reduces it down to a series of steps, and so it effectively is cookbook, figuring out how to go forward here. And so this is, again, this idea of having a step-by-step guidance and implementation aids to help you get this done means that junior staff can do much more of the legwork than you traditionally might have had, because you have much more structure that you can impose through these maps.
And I at some risk, since our podcast is produced by CPA Practice Advisor, I am going to go ahead and call out that this advisory map was named winner of the 2024 Accounting Today Top New Products, this advisory map feature. And it is, quite worth seeing as well. Beyond that, then, are some of the state tax pieces. So, yeah, Brian, why don't you take a look at some of the enhanced search results that are out there?
Yeah. So as we're kind of looking at this, you have, again, concept markers in here, which again is designed to give you some dialogue based research, so you can resort things to include particular concepts and to summarize things through there. For SALT research time, they also have a wide range of state charts that you can use, and along with cross links to the state tax reporters and other research tools, again, that are included in Checkpoint.
Yeah, so as Brian is calling that out, we have done other technology labs where we talked about SALT, sales and use tax types of products, and the charts in here are quite good. And in another technology lab, we'll actually spend time on the privacy regulations, where so many new privacy regulations are coming along. But I like state charts which lay out what happens on a state by state basis. Well, you're kind of getting the drift that this Checkpoint Edge with CoCounsel may do some other things for you. For example, we understand that you will have a lot of detail that you have to look through, but rather than reading a document that's multi-pages for 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, CoCounsel will actually see very small differences within the documents and summarize it for you, citing it as well. So it does give you a chance to, parse information intuitively with this generative AI type of approach. So, Brian, any parting thoughts for our listeners today?
Well, if I'm looking at the AI revolution, it's come to big companies already. Silicon Valley certainly has a lot of AI out there. I think the reality of where we are today is that for a lot of practitioners, this is one of the first safe products that's out there, beyond just simple optical character recognition like you get with payables automation platforms like Bill, and receipt and expense automation tools like Zoho Expense. But this is really one of the ways I think that you can start to experiment and understand the AI future, so that you can figure out how to advise your clients on it. This is AI is one of those things that you just have to get your feet wet with. And this is a good place where I think, I think the AI can save you quite a bit of time, especially during times of the year when you don't really have time to sell, so that you can maybe have a little bit better work-life balance.
Brian, you really just hit on a real key point that I hadn't even considered before our conversation. This is a way to practice safe computing, safe AI. We've talked about safe computing with antivirus and multi-factor in prior technology labs, but I had not considered how many practitioners are doing unsafe research. This using Google, having non-cited resources and so forth, and the hallucinations that you were talking about earlier. This is safe AI using the generative AI Checkpoint Edge CoCounsel model. So if you're not familiar with it, ask your Thomson Reuters representatives about it, get some education on it. It'll help you and your entire team. We appreciate you listening in on today's Technology Lab. We'll talk to you again very soon.
Thank you for sharing your time with us. We'll be back next Saturday with a new episode of the Technology Lab from CPA Practice Advisor. Have a great week.